In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a validate model attribute. As you can see, I have already a project in my solution. It's an ASP Core 2.0 project and it's using SQLite database. In my models folder, I have a class which is movie. It's a simple class with three properties: name, summary, and year. And I have some data annotations here. Now I want to validate this data before saving it into the database. To do that, I go to controllers. I have a home controller.cs file. We have index action, which shows the index page, and a create action to show the form to enter the data and create a movie model. And here I'm going to save it into the database. As you can see, I have a model state is valid check. If data is valid, I return a valid message with OK status. And if it's not, I return user to the create page with already existing model. I can use debug, start with the debugging to check the project. Now my project is running and I have a create button. And I can create new movies. I can enter some data and use save button to send it back to the server. When I do that, I receive some error message, which is telling me the data is not valid. The problem here is we have to check model state if it's valid or not every time we have a form. Now I want to create an action filter to check model validation state before reaching to the actual action here. My attribute is ValidateModel, which does not exist in MVC. I use Visual Studio to generate a new class. It creates in the same folder as controllers, and because this is a demo project, I don't care much about that. So I go inside this new attribute. Now I have to add ActionFilter Interface. IActionFilter. And I have to add the using part and implement it. As you see, I have two methods here. First one is onActionExecuted, which happens after an action finishes executing. And onActionExecuting happens before the action. So this is where I have to put my code, and I don't need this one. But I cannot remove it entirely because it's an interface. I just write a comment. No action. Here I can use this context object to check if the model state is valid. I add if context model state is valid. If model state is valid, I don't need to do anything. I just want to action to continue. So I add a not operator here to run some codes when model state is not valid. First, I have to find out what is the current controller. So I add var ctrl and use context controller. The controller here is an object. I have to cast it to the controller class. So I use controller. And I have to add some usings. Next, we need a view result. So I add var view new view results. Now I have to set the view name, and I use context, route data, values, action to find the name of the action, and I have to convert it to string. Also, I need to view data. View data equals ctrl view data. Now I can use context result to send this view back to the user. Now that we have our validate model attribute, we can remove some codes. I come back to my create action and I don't need this part of the code. Also, the if is not necessary. And all I have is a return OK validate. So when the code runs, If there is a validation error, it gets checked in ValidateModel. So now I can run the project and see if it's working. Same as before, I go to create and I use save to check the data. And as you can see, even though we remove all model validation state here, we still receive the error message. As you can see, by using action filters, we have a much cleaner code. And next time I need a validation, I can reuse this attribute and no longer need to add an if else. I hope you enjoyed this video.